These days, whenever you look at what is happening around the world, whether you read some newspapers or magazines, blog posts, whether you watch videos, look at television, there is one common theme. There is trouble almost everywhere. On one hand, there is a war being fought, the inflation is out of control, food scarcity, slowdown, you name it, and we are going through those economic troubles. In such a situation, the investors world over, they are thinking where to look. Is there a place where we can find some comfort? Is there one bright spot? Incidentally, and the good news for us is that that country happens to be our own, India. It's the bright spot in that troubled world. Something seems to be happening, something seems to be going right. Probably it's confluence of multiple factors. We may not be able to pinpoint at one place, but let's look at some of the positives. A few years back, or maybe a few decades back, we used to hear stories about the great demographic dividend of India. A large young population, a large hungry young population, hungry for growth, hungry for one's development. And that population is also getting educated. At the same time, the overall wealth of Indians is also increasing. Somewhere around 2004 was for the first time when the per capita GDP crossed that golden number called $500. I'm mentioning $500 as a golden number specifically because the first $500 goes towards roti, kapda and makan, the basic needs. Once you cross that limit, people start saving, they start spending on discretionary items. And from 2004, today, we are almost about $2,000 plus. And that's a phenomenal growth in per capita GDP. So, young population, huge hunger for growth, increasing education levels, and increasing wealth. These factors have come together. On top of that, the physical infrastructure of the country has also seen tremendous transformation, and the digital infrastructure is probably the best in the world. Let's take one example. The payments that we make using our mobile devices through a great infrastructure that has been put by NPCI called UPI, Unified Payment Interface. That's unparalleled in the world. As of December 2022, the monthly transactions through UPI were more than 300 million. And NPCI expects by 2025 the number of monthly transactions would cross 1 billion mark. Let's put that number in perspective. The total world population is 8 billion people. If we are able to hit that 1 billion mark per month, that is equivalent of 12 billion transactions a year. On an average, this is equal to 1.5 transactions per living person on this planet. And that's phenomenal. The speed at which the inclusion is happening, the ease of transacting is taking India ahead. The UPI is just one example, but we've done something right in many other areas. Let's look at something less technology oriented, and that's the election that we hold. In 2019, when the national elections took place, we had more number of eligible voters than the entire population of the third most populated country in the world, and that third most populated country in the world happens to be United States. And obviously we know that the only other two countries having more population are China and India. Now, having those many eligible voters is one thing. How many actually voted? So we had roughly 55% of the eligible voters who voted. That 55% is also more than the US population. So actual number of people who voted is more than the entire population of United States, including their eligible and ineligible voters. That entire population. And you know what? The election results in India are declared in 3 days after the election gets over. The most developed country in the world, United States, it takes days to declare election results. And then also, there are times when things get delayed further. So an election which looks like what kind of technology? Yeah, we are far ahead of the most developed country on the earth. Let's come to financial services. In the equity markets, India moved to T+1 settlement cycle. US is considering to move there by 2024. We are at least 1 to 2 years ahead of them. Now, when you look at all these things together, we are actually looking at a country which is very, very different. Only 30-40 years back, this country looked like a troubled place to be. And some of us remember in 1991, we had a currency crisis and we had to pledge our gold to borrow money. Today, we are able to bail out whole countries. In the recent Turkey earthquake, India was the largest supplier of aid. The Sri Lankan crisis, once again, India was a leading country to help them out. From a borrower to a supporter. And that borrower to supporter movement is actually quite inclusive. Now this is outside of India. Let's come back to what's happening within India. The entire Make in India concept is bringing manufacturing to India. Today, India is emerging as a hub for manufacturing of mobile devices and electronics, which was considered to be something that Indians could never think of. Today, India has already emerged as a major automobile maker. And we are moving very fast from the petrol and diesel based vehicles to electric vehicles. Again, taking sustainability into account. Now, when you look at all these factors coming together, this country looks very different. All of us as investors, it's up to us then to decide whether we want to participate in this growth or we just be a bystander and watch or wonder what happened. So let's embrace this change, a welcome change, and wish you all happy investing.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.